First question I ask everybody is give me your first and last name and tell me what years. I'm assuming that you went to Spelman College and what years you attended and when you graduated.
My name is Gwendolyn Middlebrooks, Gwendolyn Harris Middlebrooks. Harris is my maiden name. I attended Spelman College from 1957 to 1961, graduate of class in 1961.
Now that was a unique class because it also gave birth to something called the Atlanta Student Movement. How did you first find out about it, and what did you think? You were a proper young lady then. They didn't do things like protest.
Well, I knew Lonnie, and one day I was walking somewhere near Chestnut Street, near Yates and Milton's, and ran into him, and since I knew him from school and from church, he asked me if I would be interested in joining them the next day. They were planning to do some sit-ins, and if I would also be responsible for recruiting Spelman women, because we were trying to get as many of the students from the different campuses as possible to participate. And I said, of course. And I stayed up all night long that night, going from dorm to dorm, knocking on doors, talking to people individually, trying to encourage people to become a part of our effort the next day. He had told us that we were to assemble at a particular time and how everybody should be dressed. So he gave me a list of things that I was to tell people, that nobody was to wear jeans or casual clothes. We were to be dressed well in business attire, or business casual, and to bring a bag with us. We called them a tote bag in those days. Those were the days before the book bags. And so everybody carried a tote bag with your toilet articles because we expected to be arrested. So when you see people in pictures, almost all of the women, I don't know what the men carried, but we had a little tote bag with our toilet articles, including comb and brush and change of underwear, because we expected to be in jail for a while. So that's what I did the night before, didn't sleep, and that's how I got involved, following Lonnie.
And you laugh and you say that. You've been friends with him for
A long time, and I figured it was something positive, and I really had lived in Atlanta long enough to know that it was time for us to stop sitting on the back of the buses. We couldn't go to certain theaters unless we went in the back door. We couldn't eat at certain restaurants. We lived on streets in certain neighborhoods that were designated for us. We attended certain schools. I attended Howard High School, and of course we always knew when we changed books that we got books from Bass High School and from Grady High School. The children's names were written in them. There were a lot of things that we were uncomfortable about. All of us, unless we lived in the neighborhood of the Atlanta University Center, rode the bus. I had to ride 2 buses to get to Spelman, and I either had to stand up or go to the back of the bus. Most of the time you couldn't sit on the back of the bus because whites would be lined up individually in the different seats, because if they sat double in the seats, then they would be right next to people who were standing in the aisle, and they didn't want to be near us, so they would take the window seat, and the seat was vacant. You couldn't sit next to them. You had to just stand. So it was time. I was so happy to hear about it and eager to be a part of it. It was right down my alley, as they say. I was happy.
Now, what about your parents? Did you have anybody that told you not to participate?
I didn't tell my mom, and on the day we were circling the block, I didn't tell my mom nor my dad, but my mother worked as a maid for $5 a day and bus fare, cleaning white people's houses. And on the day we were circling the block of the state capitol, you could drive both ways then, both two-way traffic, waiting until the appointed time to sit in. Who would be standing on the corner waiting for the light to change but my mother? As our car approached the corner, I was praying that the light would stay green. As fate would have it, it turned red. We had to stop, and I sheepishly waved at her. So she told me that she knew when she heard it on the news, she knew before I called home that I was a part of it because of the kind of person she felt I was. I was always eager for change. And also because she was wondering, what is she doing in that car? And of course I was wondering, what are you doing on that corner? A chance meeting. So I did not tell my mom nor my dad.
What about fear? I mean, that was one of the major control mechanisms of what we call apartheid outside the United States, but that's what it was here in the United States too. What was it with your class and your generation that just said, where did the fear go?
I didn't think about violence. We knew it was a possibility because we were intelligent. And that's why almost every person who refused to go that first day didn't go. That was the reason they gave. We don't know what might happen. They might beat us. Well, in the face of all of that, one of the things we always thought, that people treat you better if you look well. So that was part of the reason for dressing decent clothing, so that people would treat you better. Whenever you traveled, you didn't travel in jeans and all of these tennis shoes. You will see no one picketing in blue jeans and tennis shoes. We always had on business attire. So there was a thought that somebody might be violent, somebody might be hurt. I think we were willing to face that. We thought we might go to jail. We didn't know how we might be treated. One of the things they told us when they gave us instruction was that no two ladies were to line up when we were to be arrested and when we were going into the restaurants to sit in back to back. We were to alternate a male and a female.
Excuse me, let me